Hello, good evening. Hope everyone's okay. That's my dog eating his dinner in the background. So, I'm going to start with... Oops, I'm going to kill the sound. No, there we go. Okay. So, I'm going to start with stock indexes tonight, because there's a couple of things that are the biggest factor, or the drivers in which push Bitcoin higher, I have noticed. The first one of them is stock indexes, and generally kind of risk on, risk off. So stock indexes go higher, that's risk on. Bitcoin and crypto likes it, and that goes up. And the US dollar, of course. So we've had a pretty nice rejection of resistance in the US dollar. In fact, let's find that US dollar chart and get it up, because it is quite interesting. But mainly I want to talk about stock indexes, because we have been in a sideways range towards the end of the month. There's a seasonal phenomenon, or a monthly phenomenon, called T+1, T+2, T+3. And what does that mean? Well, when you buy or sell a stock or a bond or an exchange traded fund instrument or a mutual fund, there are two important dates you have to understand. The first one is the transaction date. So that's the date that you buy it. So if you click buy for a stock, that's the transaction date. But the settlement date is usually, it used to be up to 5 days, but now stocks are settled usually within 2 days. And so that means that big funds that are taking profits, or hedge funds that are taking profits and need to do it within a certain month, need to sell them 2 days before the end of the month. If it's a T+2 instrument, it takes 2 days for the settlement. Now, some of them, like for example, a treasury bond now can be done the same day, but yeah, it's safer normally T+1. So what you tend to see is towards the end of the month, you will tend to see them push the prices of stocks up, so that they mark to market, or they get transacted at the highest price possible. And then once that kind of flurry of transactions has gone through, usually the last day of the month, so the 31st is not usually a bullish day for stocks, and the start of the month, because everybody calms down, while all the transactions have gone through, they're already done, so that they are cleared by the end of the month. And so it's possible, if you think about it, today is the 26th, and so the last day of the month is Friday. So T+2, really, people need stuff done, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And so what we would normally see seasonally in a bull market is a rally into Wednesday, Thursday. That's quite important, because normally on a Monday morning, when I see a big bullish rally, okay, Gunnar, I think the ball's clean now. I think it's clean. Good boy. Okay, what you normally see is, if you see a big move in Asian trading on a Monday night, the way we have seen this morning, you would normally expect that to be the high or the low for the week, and particularly with Bitcoin. But because we've got this phenomenon of month end and window dressing, they call it, when they push the price of everything up to make it look a bit better, because we've got this window dressing phenomenon, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see new highs. At the moment, though, in stocks, we are at resistance, and we are at levels where we could, if that's not going to happen this month, and sometimes when everybody's expecting it, it doesn't happen, we are at resistance. But I'm feeling bullish. There's a full moon tonight. That's making me really kind of nervous as well. So we're not at new highs yet in a lot of these other indexes. If we look at the NASDAQ, we have, one of the reasons that I'm not so bullish is it looks like we made an ABC correction down, and then now, potentially this could be correction over, and we could be in a really super bullish new upswing. It really all depends on how this next bit unfolds, and if this next leg, which looks like a wave 3 of a third wave, if this unfolds really strongly and we smash to new highs, then I'm going to say, yeah, this is a new upswing, and new highs are coming for the NASDAQ. But if we fail to make new highs, or we fail at the previous high, or the window dressing doesn't kind of push us there, then that won't be the case. So, and we're pretty much in the same situation. So that's where I see us with these stock indexes. And so that is important, of course, for Bitcoin, because we're in a pretty similar scenario. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, and we'll look at Bitcoin. So we've got all the weak conditions. We've got, stock indexes pushing against the highs, and we have got a weak dollar and a bit of a setback in the US dollar. So all of the conditions that we want to see. So when we look at this sharp sell-off that we had in Bitcoin last week, we have already made potentially a 3-wave correction. So this could be our correction over, and we are on our way up again, uptrend resume. For me though, big picture, I feel like, if not here, I feel like what I feel like in terms of account is I feel like this was a rising wedge here. So so a 5-wave rising wedge, and so that potentially we've started a bigger wave 4 correction. If I zoom out though, we've pulled back in a very fast order to really, really good support on the daily. Let's go back to this daily and tidy up our chart a bit. On this daily, we've pulled back to the 100 moving average. I don't use the 100 moving average every day in my trading, but I do look at it sometimes. And when we look back, this has been on the 100-day really, really good support before to hold the trend after a sharp sell-off in Bitcoin. And it was after the sharp 3-wave correction that we made in September 2020 that that's where we found support, and up we went again. And the sign that we were going to go back up again was when you get back above those other daily moving averages. If we go back, we can see that this 100 moving average has been pretty good support and resistance before. I think more importantly, let's look at the big rally that we did in 2017 and how the 100 moving average performed then. Because if we go back here, look, once we were in our uptrend from the lows in 2015, this 100 moving average, which is our black line, was pretty important on a regular basis. So, and we didn't, even though these pullbacks felt massive, because it was so steep, we never really came back to the 200 moving average. The 100 moving average was where we came back to a couple of times. So it could be that we have made a bottom at 50,000 here, and we are going to resume the uptrend. But we're not going to know until we get back above these daily moving averages. And there is the potential that this is the start of a bigger sideways correction before we resume the uptrend. And so I'm a little bit nervous. I don't want to say this is a bottom yet. For me, as you know, I look at a 236 fib. So when we got above this, so that means I put my retrace tool from the lows to the highs. And when we got above and held above this 236 fib here, that for me was a sign that we were at least going to attempt to go back to the moving averages. And then there are two levels that I kind of look for, depending on how it unfolds. I always look for the 50% next, and for me that's going to be at 56,000. In the futures, I think that's a little bit lower at 55,000 and change. So that's the first upside target I'm looking for in Bitcoin. If we get up there and we fell and we roll over, we're still in a downtrend. If this rally unfolds, so if we come up, say, to this 50%, have a 50% pullback, and then this next swing takes us up somewhere like 61,000 is my next resistance, and then we turn lower, that will mean that this whole rally is just an ABC correction here, and that we are not in a new upswing. And so then we will need a third leg of correction before we resume the uptrend. And that would be pretty nice. That, yeah, I wouldn't mind buying a dip in May. You tend to see a little bit of a seasonal dip in May in stocks. And so if we were going to see this, that's what a very kind of conventional, if that even happens in this market, correction would look like. A, B, C, 3-wave correction, and up we go again. The problem with crypto and really bullish markets like this, where we have a lot of FOMO, or people want to chase it, or people will have got stopped out on this pullback and now they're biting at the bit to get back in, is sometimes these corrections don't look like this, that simple. So you'll have a big uptrend, you'll have your first simple ABC correction like this, and then you'll do this and you'll make a new high, and then this one will be quite small, 61.8 of this first one, and you'll carry on and everyone will say, oh look, the uptrend didn't even stop, you know, and even though this was a correction and our new swing count should start here. But we're not going to worry about that for now. For now, we've had a very nice bounce. I would like to buy a pullback if you haven't got any. And to be honest, I've been a lot more in ETH than Bitcoin lately because it's been outperforming. So I did get stocked out of some Bitcoin. I would really like to see a pullback at this 50% and then a 50% pullback to buy it, something like that. I am not going to get super excited whilst we're underneath the daily moving averages and we've got this bearish cross of them, but I will buy dips. And the reason I like to do that, and we've gone in a straight line really off the lows, it just gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And I really like Heikin-Ashi candles for this. You know, you'll see, I'd really like to see a nice string of red candles maybe overnight and a nice pullback to buy in Bitcoin. When it does this off the lows, it's gone too far in a straight line and you really want a little bit of a pullback to get in. Dan of All Trades says, the picture quality is not okay, Dan of All Trades. See this little, where the heck is it? There, that, settings. Make sure you're on 720, okay? Then that should, oops, let's get rid of that. That should sort your quality out, okay? All right then. So we're going to look to buy pullbacks in Bitcoin. Ideally, it's going to be around 51,000 and the low numbers, 51,300, 51,200. That's where ideally, so maybe a little bit higher and then a nice three-wave correction before we go up again. That's what I would be looking for to buy. I don't know. I've said all week, I really wanted to get today out of the way. You know, this kind of rally, because this was in Asian trading, is always a little bit of a warning that you know, just can the Monday can very often be the setup going the wrong way trade, and then it'll go the other way all the rest of the week, and it might do that to month end. But you know, the one thing about Bitcoin is it's got pretty nice seasonal trends. So if we put a monthly candlestick on, we are in a bullish month. It's, you know, not super bullish, but if we look at this previous green candle, okay, as long as you stay in the top half of this green candle, it's not a bearish reversal. It's just a doji. It's just a little pause. In Japanese candlesticks, if we were to close 50% down on last month's open close, then this candlestick pattern for the month would become a pattern called dark cloud cover. That's where you make a new high, you trip everybody long, and then you close more than 50% back of the last one. So I'll have a look. I will take a look at Dent. Well done, Mark, Brandon, Martin. So yeah, and you know, we've had little doji pause candles before. If we look at all of these pause candles, they've got the same characteristic. This one didn't close more than 50% down of this preceding green candle. This one didn't close more than 50% down of this preceding green candle. And as soon as we did go more than 50% down, we saw a bigger correction. So that's a good way to look at these dojis. So that's what I'm watching for in month end. If we measure, where's the 50% mark of this candlestick in terms of monthly candlesticks? Where don't we want to be below when we close the month? Oops, it's just disappeared. That's annoying. Okay, we're going to get open, close. Remember, not the tail, on the close. And so let's put it on the right where I can read it. So Thursday night, really, we don't want to close below 52,000. And if we can do that, we keep our monthly candles bullish and we keep, you know, looking higher from here. Around what price is it looking to get rejected, did you say? Okay, let's go back. I did say. So first off, these daily moving averages here in the middle, and this 50% I think is our first trouble level. which is 55,955, basically 56,000. If you're trading it in the futures, it's a little bit lower. I think it's lower, closer to 55,500. That's where our first, and these previous highs may be a little bit higher. So around 56,000 is the first price we could see trouble, and then the second price is 61,000. So a little bit further to squeeze. Now, a lot of the other major alts, remember when we made a high in 2017 in Bitcoin, ETH didn't make a high until a month later. So a lot of the alts kind of kept going. They were still in the party mode. This Ethereum chart is much, much more bullish. I've got it in log scale. I'll put it back into regular scale. But, you know, as you know, I look at a 236 fib for, and I'm just going to, I look at a 236 fib Anarchy for a pullback level. If you look, you can see we're holding this. I've got it in log scale here. If I put it back in regular, you can see that this is where we have not fallen below, and as long as we stay above 2041 in Ethereum, I think we keep going higher. But just like Bitcoin, there is the danger that this is a bigger correction. So this is because if we look at this swing here, the big drop that we made on the 22nd of April, this dropped in a straight line. There's no way we can call this, you know, even if we look at it on a 15-minute, really, well, I suppose we could on a 15-minute, but it's not really a three-wave correction, is it? Certainly not when we look at it on an hourly. It was just a drop off a cliff. And so if this rally that we're looking at here in Ethereum unfolds as three waves, in other words, if we turn lower from here, and where would I want to, where would it go below to be a confirmation? Okay, I'm going to just do this. These highs, if we drop below 23.55 on the next pullback in Ethereum, if we drop below 23.55 and we reverse from here, then I think that we could come back and retest this 2041 level in a bigger correction. Again, you know, with month end looming, and stocks maybe set to rip, maybe I'm wrong and completely wrong, and we just keep going higher in Ethereum. But potentially, if we drop below these highs, 23.50, we could drop to 20.40 before we go higher again. So that's what I'm watching for in that one. Now, if we keep going higher in ETH, let's clean up this chart a second. Because big picture, we're at a big level, big resistance level. I'm going to go from this high to this low, all the way down to this low. You can see we're at a big 1.618 extension. That's a very often one of those places where you see profit taking and a bit of a pause. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a bigger correction here, 2,500, 2,530. Plus ETH does really like those big round numbers. But if we continue higher, so if we close above 25.30, if the wave of risk on takes us above it, the next upside target here is 4,044 for Ethereum. And there will be a couple of stop-off wobble levels that I'll have, the 2 and the 2.24, so 3,100 and 3,472. So I would not be surprised, because if you look at these weekly candles, we have been a little bit, choppy in this range, haven't we? If we look at that, so I wouldn't be surprised. And if it came back to this 20,048 level for you to buy, it would be a gift, to be honest. So ETH potentially at resistance and another swing of pullback to come, just like Bitcoin. So I want to be bullish, but that's big resistance. Just like I want to be bullish in Bitcoin, but those daily moving averages are big resistance. Okay, so let's look at some more altcoins, because they're all very enticing. This is Litecoin Euro. This one has made, I think, a lovely ABC. For me, though, this is one of the ones that is the tell. Got Litecoin Euro, Litecoin Dollar is the same chart. If we go to the weekly, We reversed at a 786 fib level up here. When you do that, you normally are looking for a pullback to the 38.2, which is down here at 145, and we haven't reached it yet. So if we look at this daily, are we bouncing from a nice level? Yes. The daily 50 moving average, yes. Everything looks good. It just feels like one of those, you know, unless we get above this daily 20, I feel like there's a risk that we still got another swing lower in Litecoin. Litecoin euro down to 145. In Litecoin dollar, that price. Sorry, we have a lot of people in my group that ask for Litecoin euro. So, but we've got the same situation, look. We've bounced from a very nice 50% level here in Litecoin. After reversing at a 786, this is the 20 moving average. I'm not convinced that we're not going to do this and then another swing lower in Litecoin US dollar, but it's looking very bullish. And if you were to put your toe in the water, a close back above this daily 20 moving average would be a really good trigger. We should then, you know, rally at least 50%, if not, you know, 78. We could rally all the way 786 here of this drop before we do another swing lower. So let's put them on. So I'd be looking for 271 at least, and maybe 307 on this bounce in Litecoin. But then I'm still thinking we've got another drop to come. Okay, so I think we're going to bounce much higher. I think we could bounce much higher, but I'm not sure that the correction is over. The problem is because, yeah, sometimes it doesn't make its target. Sometimes I'm wrong. You know, when you have a buy setup like this, you can't really ignore it. And for me, I can't really ignore it. We might come all the way up here before we do another leg and carry on. So, yeah, a lot of these alts look ready to go. So a lot of these alts really do look quite bullish. Okay, ADA and Doge, old favourites. So in ADA, we've been in quite a tough sideways range. This is ADA US dollar. I've got the calculated by trading view chart, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. What I think we've done in ADA is, so here, this is what I mean, and this is what I mean about what we could see in Bitcoin. So we had 3 waves down, then we had 3 waves up equal. Look, I didn't draw them very well, but they are. And now, have we finished here with 3 waves down, and are we going up again? That's the question. I like how ADA's really fighting to get back above this daily moving average. If it can, I think that we've got a date with the top of the range here. And if we can break out of the top of the range, we should see a bigger breakout. But sometimes, if I zoom out, we may be in a wave 4 position here. So what that means from this low, look, is 1, 2, 3, and this is our wave 4 before we start a big wave 5. And quite often in a wave 4 position, your correction will be a triangle or 5 waves. So that would mean here that we don't break out when we try, and we'll see one more leg lower before we go again. And one thing I've noticed, so that would then be A, B, C, D, E. And one thing I've noticed in crypto is these E legs never quite get to where they should. They always seem to turn early, but that would that's what I'm looking for. So unless we actually break out of this sideways range, we are at risk of one more dip, but it does look pretty strong. So what price is that daily moving average that I'd like to see us above today? 1.2244. If you're looking at tether, we've got the same chart pattern, haven't we? We've got the same sideways scenario. I believe actually we may be a little bit closer to, let's chart clean up here, getting above our 20 moving average. But you know, we haven't closed tonight, and if we don't, you know, we could see a bigger pullback before we go higher in ADA. That's how they tend to work. If you can't close above it, if we close above it, right, that 20 moving average becomes support. We'll see a very shallow pullback overnight, and then it'll just keep going. But if we close underneath it, we could see 50% back and then up. That's the only difference it makes. So ADA looking for a return to the top of the range and then see if we can break out. For me in ADA Tether, the resistance is a little bit higher. We didn't tag it. It's at 1.595. Okay, but super bullish and bouncy, isn't it? How about Doge? Is Doge ready to go again? Let's see. I'm going to say no, probably not. Let's see. So first of all, we haven't got to our target in Doge. We've paused at a kind of interim target. It's got very messy though in this. I will say that. Let me try and move this up a little bit here. Just want to have a quick peek. There we go. That's what we should be looking at. Okay. So for me, this is quite a big level for Doge. This is a wave 4 correction. If I go back to the daily and we look at, because very often, you know, waves 2 and 4 are kind of equal in time or price. So clearly up here, you know, I suppose it's similar in size. If we were to take though, as long as this wave 2 correction is doing, we wouldn't be quite ready. And the other thing I'm not quite clear about is this, you know, one big, another one with, is this correction over in one big drop, or are we just in the B wave? And for me, it feels like a B wave. So this is a big A, and we've got this one, and then we'll do another one before we go up again. So not ready to buy it. And especially these 4-hour moving averages the wrong way round. If we look at the daily moving averages, we're fine, but lower time frame, you know, we've hit a bit of resistance. If you think about the 4-hour trend, just looking at this, right? So the 4-hour trend is lower highs and lower lows. So the last high before we made the last low is here. So if we're going to reverse that 4-hour trend, that's the high we've got to take out. Otherwise, we're just going sideways. And so what we've done is we've gone into that sideways phase. Markets have 3 correct directions, don't they? So we need to take out this high if we're going to go higher. Otherwise, we risk a retest of the lows. And a very good low it was in Doge, but that's how. How is Ethereum going to a correction? Dip or surge up? $1 million question, Rambam. If I knew, I feel like we're going to dip personally from here, and I feel like Doge is the same. So there we go. You did miss Ripple. Ayush, well done. Good eye. I should have mentioned Ripple. Now, I'm not one of these people that's really... When we were looking at Ripple in the group this morning, we were in this range here off the lows. And so, you know, when you have a nice pullback and you think you're ready to go up again, okay, what I do is I look at how it unfolds. So if this rally off the lows had just been a equal measured move and stalled here and turned lower, because this is where we were this morning, then we would be bearish. And if we had dropped back under 1.1, we would have been bears. As it was though, we broke the highs. We're going up. That's not relevant. So now that we're above this equal measured move level, we can look higher from here. The first level we're going to look for here is this 1.618, which is at 1.36. And then the second upside level is 1.62. So very possible that Ripple has made a bottom here and is starting a new uptrend. And there's lots to like about this chart if we look at it big picture. Let's, for example, start on the weekly. This orange line marks that 50% back, right, of this big green upside candle. This big green upside candle, as long as we stay in the top half of this, we are in a really nice bullish correction. One of the other tools I look at to keep me in a bullish correction is the RSI. I don't like to see the RSI below 50. We're nowhere near that. So, but that's where I would look back to for this to be finished. So bullish, the key question is, just like Bitcoin, is this done now and are we going to keep going higher? I think probably not. I think more likely we're going to do something like this. And then we go up again, okay? And the most likely spot for that is normally around that 786, 886 level. So between 1.74 and 1.84, and then I would expect a pullback before we go up again. But this is looking super bullish, yes, super bouncy. I'm just not sure that this correction is over, unfortunately. So let's pop our daily moving averages on. You can see now, if we're looking at this and we want to know where could we buy a pullback to get long in Ripple back towards this daily 20 moving average, 1.2147 would be where I'd be looking. So 1.2147 is just here, isn't it? So a nice hourly pullback overnight if we get one, or tomorrow morning, that's where I'd be looking to pull back to. Just the same in ETH, you know, I'm looking for a pullback here in ETH, very similar to this. So unless, you know, ETH breaks that 2,500 level, I just think we've got one more pullback before we go up again. And so be careful. Smells like corn chips. According to your source, Yellen wants a big tax on cryptos for government. Right. Well, you know, cryptos shouldn't be any different from any other investment. Like, cryptos are an investment. You shouldn't be paying anything more than, if you're an American, you shouldn't be paying anything more than capital gains tax on what you make in your crypto investments. So if they double capital gains tax, then that's obviously going to be, and they put it to 39%, that's obviously going to be a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? But yeah, that could be it. So this is Doge Bitcoin. I did not look at Doge Dollar. Let's take a look at Doge Dollar, because Doge Bitcoin does not necessarily mean that Doge Tether is going to go up. But let's zoom out. Now, key question. Remember, when we look at a market and we think it's made an ABC correction. So I think, for example, here in Doge against the dollar, we have made a very nice ABC correction, and I like how we held this equal measured move. It was a little bit messy, but we held it. The problem is sometimes it happens too fast and moving averages don't catch up, especially with Doge. And you look, the 20 moving average hadn't really caught up, and certainly this 50 hadn't. And so sometimes that means you need to go a little bit sideways. For me, though, what the key thing that I'm watching for is when you think you've made an ABC equal measured move, the confirmation that you're going higher is when you get back above that 61.8 level, and that's at 0.3. So this is where this swing would have been 61.8 of that swing. And you can see that that's also support and resistance. So Doge Tether above 0.3 will be going up again. In between then, though, it looks like it might be doing a little bit of retesting the lows, maybe a little bit of sideways before we get ready to go again. Okay? Okay, let's look at Luna and HBAR. I'm going to go all the way to the end. And here's Luna. This is a lovely bullish chart, isn't it? Now, I had lots of fib projection levels, and they haven't been working so well. So what I'm going to do is pop it into log scale auto here. And make sure that I've drawn it correctly. There we go. Now they work a little bit better. Sometimes you need to, and I'm going to lock it. Now, yeah, they're not very helpful, are they? So when that happens, sometimes we look at the fib retrace levels instead, and each one of these swings. And because we've in log scale, they're going to be bigger than we think. So you can see here we held the 236 fib, we kept rallying. Here we had a bigger correction. We came back down to the 38.2, didn't reach the 50% and carried on rallying. Now we're going to move our fib levels up and see where we are. Another one where we very nicely held the 38.2 fib and carrying on higher. So Luna really could just be doing exactly the same thing as we have done in these previous corrections and on our way up again. So now let's look at underneath the hood a little bit at how this correction is unfolding, you know, because you kind of like to see three waves. Now sometimes your three waves will be nice and simple like this. A, and then the B leg has to unfold in 3 and then C. But sometimes you'll do this and then your B leg will be a little bit funky. This will make a slightly lower low and then you carry on. But this is still a little ABC correction in the middle. And sometimes it's even more unlike that. So it'll be like this. And I think that that's what we've got here. So here's our A, and then we have a B collection, C leg, and we're on our way up again. And one of the good ways to tell is if these little swings here are equal, like this. They're not quite here, but that's kind of what I feel like anyway. If we say that this price action on the daily was contained within a channel, which it looks like it was, then we've broken out of that channel. So you can't really draw trend lines very well when you are in log scale. So let's try that again. So yeah, maybe not so much, but either way, with this break above the highs and back above the moving averages and back above this previous swing high and what looks like could be a completed correction, there's lots to think that Luna could be in a new upswing, and therefore because we're above these daily moving averages, any pullback towards these daily moving averages become a really nice buy. And so I would be saying any pullback that you get towards 16.3 would be a really nice long for Luna Tether. If we put our fibs on to see where we are and where we reverse, sorry about the dog barking, I'm on my own so I can't stop her. Okay, if we reverse at this 61.8, then this 38.2 would be a very good place to look for a pullback to if we break the 50% in the middle. And so that would mean a pullback to 15. Oh, I'm really sorry, hold on. Okay, 15.75 then. For Luna Tether would be a really good place to pull back to. And if we can do that, next leg after 61 we'll be looking for the 61.8 and so on, and we'll climb our way up like a ladder, then 2010 and so on. So if we did that, if we don't, if we hold this 50%, then this 2010 becomes next, and then so on, and then this 61.8 becomes support, 886, 786 and so on. So looking really good for Luna Tether. Yeah, but we've gone, if you look at it, we've gone 5 days, 5 big green days in a straight line. If you haven't got any Luna here, it's kind of, you kind of would like to see maybe a little bit of a pullback day, wouldn't you? Yeah, she's like, don't buy it, it needs to come back more. That's why she's barking. Okay, HBAR. Let's take a look at HBAR. This is another good looking chart. Okay, there's lots to like about this one. Let me tidy up my chart. I was drawing on it this morning. Okay. So first off, this is one of those ones where you can see a really nice simple correction. A and then a B. This was, the B was shorter than this one, and a finished pullback here. Okay, if we there we go. But the problem, just like Bitcoin, even though we've made this really nice correction and what looks like a bullish flag, and we've held the lows of this flag, because this is a parallel channel, look, you can see this top one and the bottom one. So we've held the lows after a nice little bullish false breakdown. The problem is that our moving averages are here in the middle and they're the wrong way around. Very often when you do that and you get back to them, they're resistance before you can go higher. So What we could see here in the middle is a bigger pullback, maybe an inverted head and shoulders pattern. That would be quite a good look on a lower time frame here in HBAR, because this is where our resistance is. If we blast through the middle, and if we blast through those daily moving averages, which are around 0.335, then we should look for pullbacks to buy once we get above it. But this is another one, yeah. If this is a bull flag, then this is not, down here off the lows is not a bad place to get in. And then you might see protected when we break out, hopefully, to the upside. But the daily 20 is at 0.305 and the daily 50 is 0.318, and they're going to be tough resistance. At this point, it's not a good place to buy. We either need to dip or to get above them, but I like it. My target, next upside target in HBAR is 535, and then maybe 850, but 535 anyway for now is where we're looking. So looking good in HBAR. DOT. Honestly, last night a squirrel tried to come in the glass door. You'd think it was World War III with 4 dogs trying to kill it. He didn't try that again. Okay. So THETA, hasn't this bounced from a lovely level? There's so much to like about this. Let's zoom out to the weekly. It's our weekly 20 moving average as well. If we look in terms of corrections, if this is a 1, 2 and the big 3, this, you know, they're quite equal, aren't they? Almost ready to head up high again. Dragonland, are you leaving? THETA. I'll try and do THETA at the end, okay? I quite like the THETA chart, so we'll take a look. So really, really good support that we're bouncing on from in DOT. Let's see if we can see if we're ready to go. Because remember, the one thing you don't want to see is an equal ABC correction. Bullish moves are normally 5 waves, and so when you see a 3 wave like this that comes lower, that's usually a sign that we've made a correction and we're going to head lower. And this wave in the middle, you know, that's 3 waves. That's good, but these two need to not be equal. So if we look at where we are in this rally and DOT from this low to high, don't worry, I'll put it on the right spot. We're not quite there yet. Our danger level, look, is 33.98. So we really need to push above 33.98 in DOT to be bullish. And if we drop back below 31.73, that would be a bearish reversal. And this would just be a correction. So that's our parameters that we're looking at for DOT. We're really bullish above 33.98. And we are not so bullish and thinking we retest the lows, maybe lower, if we get underneath 31.73. So that's how I'm seeing in DOT Tether. Next one we're going to look at is RSR and then SXP. These were requested by people in my group. So, okay, have I got Haven on the list? I haven't. I have. I think this is a nice move coming for Haven. Anyway, let's look at RSR. Here's a daily chart of RSR. So, on our correction, where did we come back to? Did we get back to the 50%? Exactly. So the all-time lows to highs, the pullback in RSR reversed at the 50%. That 50% is not a fib number. It's a sign, though, a really good sign of a correction. And then since we've done that, not only have we done a little doji pause at this 50%, but we've done this monster bullish upside reversal candle. For this to be a 3-day reversal candlestick pattern, if you Google evening doji star or morning doji star, you'll see what I mean. All we had to do was close 50% up on this red drop, and we've absolutely smashed it. So this is a really cool and a really nice bullish reversal in RSR following a ABC correction. There's our equal measured move and 50%. 50% and an equal measured move all day and all night is a fantastic setup, the best one you can get. Okay, so from here, I would expect us to rally. You can see how we've got above this 61.8 level. That's the level that I would look for a pullback to support. So if you didn't buy any RSR, 0.08007 would be where I'd be looking for a pullback on a lower time frame. So let's see where that's on the hourly, something like that. If we got back to there, that would be very nice. And then where's the first place where we might see a bigger pullback after this pattern? Well, if we draw it as a flag, we haven't quite really, let's connect the lows first. We haven't really quite broken out yet, have we, of this flag pattern? So that may be where we first get some consolidation or some kind of a way to enter there. So we've got a lot to go still before we get our breakout in RSR, but it looks very good. That ABC and that 50% back looks good. But buy dips, and then what was I going to do? Oh yeah, I remember. Hide this. Okay, when you this was a 50%, right? When you do that 50%, very often 50% going the other way is where your first major resistance is. And so that in RSR is going to be here at 0.091. We could see a bigger pullback from there. That's where we could, mean reverting markets tend to keep mean reverting. So we could see a 50% pullback in there that would give you a nice long entry potentially. If we blast through that 50%, then a false break of this trend line should also give us a pullback as well to get long. So try and buy pullbacks or buy breakouts of consolidation if you can. Don't be the guy that buys the highs and then has to sit out the dip. It's always, a little bit painful. But yeah, this RSR is looking really good for it. And would really like to see it above these daily moving averages. That would be a great look. SXP. Can't find it. That's weird. Never mind. Let's look at SXP. So we're going to start with a weekly chart. So after stalling at the previous highs, I've had quite a pullback in this one. How far have we come? Let's see from the lows. Where did we come back to? Not quite so neat on that 50%, but that's okay. Weekly 20. This is quite a funky one. So I'm going to count this as a 50% reverse, right? Because we didn't clearly get to the 61.8. And it looks like a kind of messy, rounded retest of this spike low, doesn't it? So we've retested support, and I don't want to bend my line, but you know what I mean. We've retested this. So if we were to get back above these daily moving averages, if we were to get out of this channel, then that would be a really nice next bullish reversal for SXP. But because of that 50%, I'm going to say the 50% the other way becomes important. So let's mark it a different color. That's where I would be looking for a bigger pullback. So I think we could rally to this 50% here, get above these moving averages, then we'll see a 50% pullback, maybe a head and shoulders pattern in this one. So be a little bit patient. This is just the first bounce off the lows, if you like. Then this first pullback will tell us a lot, but that's what I would like to see in SXP. I think it looks really good as well. And I'm thinking, maybe while we do these shallow pullbacks and these nice looking altcoins, maybe that's where Bitcoin does its bigger, pullback to finish the correction as well. Anyway, Let's look at fill, which should be here. Okay, it doesn't matter. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to look at fill. This is another one. Let's have a chart tidy up. Hit a big fib level. So we're looking for an ABC correction. Now this third leg. So here we've gone, look, 3 waves down, 3 waves up. This final leg can be 61.8 to the first one. So if I measure them using my trend-based fib extension, you can see that that's where we are. We're sitting on the level where this swing is 61.8 to this first swing. So potentially we could finish the correction and rally from here very nicely. It's a bit nice double bottom action as well, or a little rounded retest of this spike is what we've got going on. And so I think if we get above this daily 20, we're moving up again. The problem is that it's not clear whether we're going to be able to get above it tonight or whether we're just going to close on it. But if we close on it, then we'll have quite a deeper pullback and carry on higher. If we can squeak above it tonight, then it'll be a shallow pullback and this 20 moving average will be support. We're right on the level now. It's 150. I don't know which way it's going to go. Let's see. With all of these, you know, I much prefer to see a bigger base, a bigger bottoming pattern. So, you know, if we were to squeeze a little bit higher here and then, you know, something like this, I think that always gives me a little bit confidence, more confidence. But if it doesn't, if we take out these highs, then, you know, buy against them. It'll be one or the other. I'm not sure which way this is going to go, but I do like how we're bouncing. And above that daily 20 moving average, I think there's a really good chance that we break out of this bullish pennant. Maybe not the first time. Third touches of trend lines are very often false breakouts. So you'll see it break out and then come back and then go. So just beware of that. Okay. Do you know, I thought Solana was on. Sol, you're talking about, aren't you? Robert L. I thought it was on. I'll try and do Sol and Theta at the end, okay? I kept the list a little bit short tonight and I knocked off the ones I'd looked at this morning. Whoever was asking just now for KSM, I haven't got to KSM yet either. Phil, Haven. Okay, so Haven, I believe Haven's been in this channel. And Haven is trying to break out again and on the way up. Let's take a look at Haven. Not counting my chickens in this one. Mainly, I'm counting them from this high, which is not the highest high. First off, and third touches again are very often false breakouts. But there's lots to like about this because I haven't got it in log scale, have I? No. Okay. I really like it when the channels are parallel. So I'll connect the lows like this here, and then we'll either move it up. So you can see we've got this high. We're really trying to break out. Really. I can't see a fib reason why this would be a major drama here. It's the 38.2. But if we were to reverse here, the 236 is where the support is. So it may be we still do that thing. This is a 4-hour chart. Certainly, you know, when normally after a breakout, you like to see a really strong move, don't you? These third touches, they just don't give you that. And it's very frustrating. Okay. So let's look for a little 3-wave pullback here in Haven. Haven has gone up in a big straight line, Asian trading. We need a 3-wave correction and then we can buy it again. And it might come back a short way to like 20. It might come down to 19.4 before we go up again. But I do really like the look of this one. Now, let's zoom out. Let's take away. Okay, first off, we want to say, let's look at this on the daily. This pullback was to a 50%. So the first place we're going to have a major trouble is not this little breakout level here, but it's the 50% back of the drop, because mean reverting markets tend to keep mean reverting. And so that's going to mean in the middle here. So between 23 and 23.8 is where we may, and look at, see these previous highs here, this high here and high here. That's going to be our first trouble level. And then we may get that bigger pullback before we carry up again. But yeah, I do like this breakout. I do like lots about Haven. It's quite hard to buy in any size. If you're looking at this and you're thinking you're going to buy a lump of it, be careful. You'll be the market in Haven if you do that. I've learned that to my cost. Okay. So where are we going to go for next? That's the question, the main question. So I'm just gonna, no, let's not do that. Let's just, we're gonna look for the 1.2. I'm gonna look for, where's that 1272 first, and then the 38, and then, okay, so we're gonna look for, first off, beyond that 50%, a pullback, new highs. I'm gonna look for 28.4, 33.7, and then 38.5 next in this swing for Haven. Big picture, I really do like this one. Buy after a couple of red candles. Okay, so there's quite a few altcoins that are looking good, aren't they? Quite a few altcoins look like they've made that little corrective pattern, and up they are going again. ICX is one of them. ICX is another one. I think that's looking all set to go bottom of the chart. So I'm again, I measured this channel here. Let's take that away. Let's have a bit of a chart tidy up here. Okay, we're looking at this correction in ICX. So first off, if we put our trend line on and we connect this high and this high, and then that was the retest. So we got a bit like this, and then third touch false breakout, look. Okay, then let's do this one from this low to this low here. So we've got this low, third touch false breakout. So not quite parallel, which we would like to see for Elliott waves. Elliott waves are having a bad day, bad OCD looking at this this channel. But the good news is that it looks like a three-wave correction, and we are trying to at least bounce off the lows. If we look at where we've come from in terms of a big pullback in ICX, there we go, big, well, it was there a minute ago, but it's the big 50% anyway. It's what you want to see. So this is a bounce from a big 50%. So when we put our fibs the other way, we're going to look for that big 50% to be our first upside target, and we're going to try and keep the fibs on the chart if we can here. So our big upside target next is 2.36 if we can get above the 236 fib, and we did. Okay, so if we can hold 1.918 is now support, our upside target is next is 2.36, and if we get above 2.36 on a close, we have broken out. So it may be that we have a little bit of a stall there first, but that's what I'm looking for. So looking good. This level of support, remember, 1.918. And if we can pull back and hold it, all the good, and then that's our target. Okay. Now, that's the bullish, lovely bullish view. In all of these coins, if you are going to fail, it's usually when you've got an equal measured move. Let's get rid of this. And measure from this low to this high. And project it from here, and you can see we went beyond that equal measured move. So it's not, this was where, if we had stopped here and then dropped, that would be the end. I think that actually this is potentially a little bit of support here, and we could just, carry on higher from here without doing that little bit extra pullback. It's looking a little bit choppy around this equal measured move level. If it's accidentally gone beyond it, let's do that again. If it's, then the pattern that the market usually makes is a head and shoulders. I'm not really seeing that here in ICX. So I think by the dip, I'm looking for it to carry on higher, 2.18, and then of course 2.36. Okay. XVG is another one, very similar. Bullish patterns. That's not here. Let's see, XVG. Okay, let's look at the weekly. So let's hide that. That's one. This is one of those ones where you can't use the ridiculous spike. So a bit of a resistance level. Let's look at this, because clearly 1, 2, and then I think that we've just finished, or we are in a wave of 5 of 3, and then we've got our big wave 5 to come. Sorry, we're in, yeah, wave. We're looking for wave. We've done 1, 2, 3. This is wave 4, and we've got wave 5 to come. Big wave 4. So here we've had this big correction. Is it an equal swing? That would be a good look, wasn't it? Not quite. Back above the 61.8 though, or back above these daily 20 moving averages. And look how Verge cares about these daily moving averages. It really does. So back above this 20 moving average and these highs, I think would be the bullish to reversal that we're looking for. And we're on our way up again. In fact, I think it's going, looking really good. So there's our 236 fib. We're above it. It's 0.0455. So that's where our support should be, and so on. Let's go down a time frame and see where our breakout comes. If this is a flag or a channel, a little bit higher. Not quite a breakout yet, but looking very good in this declining wedge in like this in XVG. So 50% there is going to be quite important at 0.056. That'd be quite nice and bullish, wouldn't it? 0.056 then confirms we're going up again in next in XVG. It's our next resistance. If you're looking for a rally that will give you a pullback, then that would be the first place I'd be looking to. Okay, next one we're going to look at is comp. Seem to have that comp chart everywhere. This is such a nice leg, isn't it? So we've got our correction, flag correction here, and see these highs. So if we take this first high, this is the one that we could never just close above. If we make it a horizontal level, hold on, get it to reset, there it is. You can see that that's exactly on a close where we came back to find support. So super bullish. Now we need a new high. I haven't quite closed at a new high, but I think that this was a breakout and a pullback and a retest for comp. And I think it's looking really good. So let's zoom out a bit more and see where we might be going with this, because I think this is the big high. It's there. Okay. 2.618, 4.2, so 878 if I measure it that way. And then no, I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to say 8 because of these fib levels have been working so well. I'm going to say 878 here. Look at this high here. 878 is our next upside target for comp buy pullbacks. So where might a pullback be on a day after a day like today? When you have a big green candle, so when you're in an uptrend like this, and you have a big green candle, the next most common candlestick for tomorrow will be a small inside bar, a small pullback day, a little harami, or we carry on. One of those is the most likely thing. We're not going to see a big pullback. If we were to come back as far as 50% back of this green candle, I think that would be a really nice gift in comp to buy. That's where I'd be looking for. But maybe these previous highs or this high here, you know, might just be as far as we get back to. So 620, maybe down to 610 and 50% back of that candle. So really nice look, I think, for comp. And the higher close would keep me bullish. So KSM, let's take a peek at KSM. Just going to have a quick drink, I think. Hold on, here we go. Here's KSM. So here's another one where it looks like we've had a very nice ABC rally. Perfect. Back to the 50%. Equal measure move. Like this is a textbook correction. High to low here. Equal measure move. And 50% back off the lows. There's nothing not to like about KSM. It's perfect. Except that here we are now. So first off, we've gone through the fib above. We've gone through the 61.8 level, which would normally be resistance. So now it's going to be support. Because here we are at the daily moving averages and they're the wrong way around. So this is where I would be looking. We're not going to pull back all the way to the bottom, but this would be the first level where I'd be looking for a pullback to buy around 367, 370. Yeah, looking very nice in this one. I'm going to measure just this swing. We might not have stopped going up, but yeah, we might not actually come back that far. We might just keep going. That would be quite something to the 2.618 at 44 at 440. Yeah, buy pullbacks in KSM tether 440 next, and then back to the daily. Now 440 is going to be important because remember this was a 50% pullback, so 50% of the drop would be the first place where we'd be looking for a bigger pullback going the other way. So hide that, put this on. So is it 440 around there? No, 424. So between 424 and 440, I think, is where we'll hit our major resistance. If we can get above these 20 moving averages first time. If we can't, we'll see a pullback, and then that's where we go next, and so on. Looking quite good. KSM, perfect textbook correction. So keep buying pullbacks. Atom, Neo, Sushi. And then I will add THETA and Raven and Solana. Okay? Atom, Neo. It's been a crazy week, let me put it that way. Crazy. I hope everyone's has been all right. Here's Atom. Lovely Atom. Hello, Laura Thomas. Don't worry. We will look at Raven. I feel like, in fact, the only reason Raven isn't on the list is because we looked at it in depth this morning in my group. So don't worry about it. Now, we've talked before, haven't we, about corrections being kind of a little irregular. So let's clean up this chart. Let's get rid of all these little bugs. Okay, so normally in an uptrend, you would look for three-wave correction. In a perfect correction, they would be equal, and you carry on higher. Sometimes we have a correction that looks like this, and we pull back, and so we have a correction that looks like this, and we pull back, and remember we've got to have three waves of the B leg, and then the next one will make a slightly higher high, and it'll look like that, and you'll think, oh, is that a correction over? And if these, this swing and this swing are equal, very often they are. So that means if that's what we've just done here in Atom, so this is A, and then we had B and C, no, yeah, wait, no, I can't go on correct. Okay, I don't want that either. Thank you. Let's no. Wait. Yes, I want to exit. Okay, I just feel that this may have been the first swing of correction, and this is the C leg, and this in between was a B. Okay. So if this one and this one are equal, there's a good chance that that's what we're looking at. Let's measure. In which case, we would be about to resume the uptrend with this strong bullish move that we see. And we see that they were equal. Not only that, but if we did that, then this 61.8 level back above it is what our confirmation would be that we're going up again. So we've met the confirmation that we've reversed. I think that this big correction that we started in February in Atom is over, and we're on our way up again. And that on pullbacks, 21.38 should be support. So this is the hourly chart. Here you see us just above it. Let's see if we get a little pullback here. That's where we should not go back below, and we should turn up again. 21.38. Good luck in Atom. I like this one. So the first target when you've got this is going to be top of the range, which is a bit woolly, isn't it? Because it's woolly, let's be honest. And then I would just honestly do fib levels. So you know that if you do a 61.8, you might pull back to the 38.2. If it stops at the 786, we might pull back to the 61.8. We might pull back to the 38.2 and so on, and just keep going that way, climbing the fib levels. And then 35.88, 47.84 would be my upside targets. So I would actually not measure them that way, I think, because in Atom, I feel like this is a big wave 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to measure wave 1 and say that wave 5 should have a relationship. So you do it like this. Put that on the low. Get rid of that correction. No, I've done it the wrong way around. Get rid of that one. There we go. So I'm going to say first upside target, which would be just a marginal new high, would be 29.32, then 37.22, and then maybe we get to 50 in a big extended wave 5. So 29.3, 37.22, and then 50 would be my targets for Atom US dollar. Looking really good for this fifth wave to be beginning now. Neo, I'm just going to have a quick drink. So Neo, let's start with the weekly chart and we'll look at where we are. Big picture, when you reverse at a 61.8, if you drop back underneath the 50%, you're going to do that golden ratio zone thing, where you go back and forward between 61.8, 38.2. And that's what we've done exactly in Neo dollar. We reversed at the 61.8, pulled back to the 38.2, now we're bouncing. So our upside target is this 50% pivot level in the middle, which conveniently happens to be 100 or 101. And which is really good support and resistance. So I'm liking this. Now, if it's going to fail, or if it's not the bullish pattern that we think we are, it's going to be an ABC, and it's, gosh, it's, I hate to say it, it was looking a little bit like you don't want to stop here. Come on, Neo. That would be so disappointing. I feel like Neo's the biggest heartbreaker. So if we measure from this low to high, look where we've stopped. Now that's a very obvious place for profit taking. People do take profit there. So we're only going to be bearish if we drop under 85 in Neo. Otherwise, this is a pullback and 85 is support, and we're going to look for this to keep going higher to our target at 101, 102. That's what I'm looking for in Neo US dollar. Hope that works for everybody. And good luck. SUSHI. So I'm afraid that I'm not quite so bullish. SUSHI. Let's start on a weekly chart. For a start, I got all my fibs all the way down from the low lows, which I believe are the lowest lows. But you know, let's have a peek and make sure. Actually, that's the lowest low, because it counts. So look. Right. I got my fib from the lowest low to the highest high here in SUSHI. And remember, you looking for that 50% back normally to be pretty good support. I was also looking at this spike high to be support as well, and a little disappointed that it hasn't, and that we had this really bearish weekly close last week underneath this support and resistance, underneath the weekly 20. And so for a lot of reasons I'm like, that was frustrating, you know, because it didn't quite go down to the 61.8, so it really wasn't a level you could buy against like so many other alts. And so now for me to be sure that it's going up, it needs to do a couple of things. First, it's got to get back above this 50% level, otherwise this is now resistance, and we're going to keep going lower down to the 61.8 before we rally again. Or it's got to, and then if it gets above this 236, really I would like to see it beyond 50% of the open close of that weekly candle. So here we are at resistance here on the daily, and it's not a sure thing to me here that we're going to break out in SUSHI. So I probably, yeah, there's our equal measure move level as well. It's like very nervous what happens here. It's not clear cut. We could reverse, or we could break out, and I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Decision time for SUSHI. I'm very bullish above 12.4, I think, and above the hourly 200 moving average, but this is resistance if we are going to keep going lower. So let the market gods decide. SUSHI dollar, key resistance 11.93. Let's see where we close under or over on the daily. Okay, so the ones I was going to do were THETA, Sol, and Raven, wasn't it? And I'll try and do EOS. THETA, Sol, and Raven. THETA. I'm trying to not do marathon sessions. I feel like people get bored as well too, unless they can have their. Okay, well, there's Sol. We're going to do THETA first though. And here's THETA token. Let's go out to the weekly. Here's another one where these fib levels were just like a ladder. We've lost our support and resistance in this one, and we dropped down to the previous fib support. So I'm very pleased to see that in THETA on the weekly. Now this, for me, the question is, was this a complete correction, and are we ready to zoom back up again, or was this just the first leg? Because it's quite a short correction when I look at other ones. For example, here, where we had 3 waves, or here, which was a wave 2. Now, I'm not saying it won't be, but if we're going to go up, we need to go a little bit higher, don't we? I think we need to take out this support and resistance here, as well as those daily moving averages that we're right at now. So above 11.7, yeah, we should fly. 18.8 to 21. I think 21 is my big target. Next. But otherwise, potentially, this is resistance, and we could see either a retest of the lows. That's sometimes a very common thing in these corrections if we've done it all a little bit too quickly, or we could see, you know, one more. Let's hope not. I hope it doesn't get ugly. This month end it shouldn't, but you never know. So bullish above 11.7 for theta. Let's see it hold above there. Theta, Sol, and Raven, wasn't it? Theta, Sol, Raven. Theta, Sol, Raven. Dent. I'll see what I can do. It's my phone telling me to go outside. What did I write? 44.65 is really the key. I'm expecting it to go higher to 56, but 44.65 was support and resistance. Here we are above it. So a nice correction here, breakout from this consolidation. Let's take away this lower one. I don't think we're coming like that. Actually, no, let's see that. So 56 next. So yeah, I'm expecting this to hold. It's holding very nicely, and a breakout from this consolidation next. Put your little thing on. That's what I'm looking for. Nice big green Heikin-Ashi here would be on a hourly. That would be a nice bullish trigger to say that we're going up again. So holding above 44.65 takes us back to 56. The pattern when you've overshot generally is a head and shoulders. I don't really see that as a head and shoulders here, although it might be. Let's hope not. It's not very... Stop, come on. Okay, yeah, no, it looks more like a triangle. Yeah, ideal support then for Sol if we're going to turn up higher from here. If we start losing these averages, or if we start dropping below 41, we're a long way from this daily moving average. We really don't want that to happen yet. We want to keep going. When it gets to 56, I would definitely take some target if you're longer this one. Raven. Let's see where Raven is. Okay. Oh, that's right, I remember Raven. Okay, so Raven has the first leg of correction, and then I think an ABC. And now I'm looking at this drop. And I thought that this drop had further to fall. I thought we were going to come back down to 0.09597. But if I'm wrong, and so if that's the case, this will just be, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're ready to go up again. However, if I'm wrong, back above this fib level wouldn't be weird, would it? 0.1537. Let's see where the 236 fib comes in as well. And that might mean it's all going to get a little bit front run, and we're on our way up again. Look, there's the 236 fib, same level. Okay, so same level. So the 236 fib from this high to this low is at the same level. Unless we can close above it, we're not really going up, unfortunately, and we could do more consolidating around the lows, even though it looks like a really good level. So, yeah, lots to make me nervous here in Raven coin. And low, high, ABC correction, back underneath that equal level, so we're going to say back underneath that 61.8 level, that's a bearish reversal. Back underneath 0.1436. Rallies over, we're headed lower to new lows for Ravencoin. Above this, so say we don't, let's say we come back here, find support, get back above this level again, that would be very bullish on our way. And that would just look like a pullback within the trend. So 0.1436 key for Raven US dollar tether. EOS, I think, and DANT. And then I'm going to call it a night. Sorry, guys. Did I mention I sold my house this weekend? Like, that was like major stress and moving card. Anyway, I'm not going to blame. I have first world problems. I'm more worried about my dogs, you know, and the move than anyone else. Okay. EOS. So I wonder what your question is about EOS. Let me go back. Please cover EOS. Okay. Now, EOS. One of the big things, remember, if this is not an... So, first off, this looks like a very nice bottom, doesn't it? It looks like a rounded retest or a swing failure pattern, or either way, double bottom and more upside. The problem is that when you've got a double bottom, which we've got here, you've got a sideways range because you've only got your double bottom if you break out the highs at the top. And if you don't, so here's our double bottom like this, bottom of our range if you like. Here's the top of our range. And no breakout. Nothing doing. So we've got equal. Not only that, but if we measure, we drop back underneath the 61.8 level, and that was pretty good support and resistance. So I'm going to say that path of least resistance in EOS dollar is lower unless we can close back above 5.8, in which case we go back to the highs and I was wrong. Okay, so above 5.8 we're bullish, otherwise we are looking lower from here. And even on the hourly, to be honest, this just looks corrective, doesn't it? So on the hourly, equal measure move is where we got stuck. So we'll be bearish back below 5.35 in EOS dollar. What was the other one? Matic I quite like. Okay, thinly spread XTC. And then it's the last one. So I know everything looks really good. It does look really good in Bitcoin and stuff. I'm just being a little bit cautious. Please, everybody, remember markets have three directions. Sideways is a direction. Bitcoin is very good at going sideways and very good at shaking people out of the market when it does. And, you know, even little pullbacks in a sideways range, if you're using too much leverage or you're too stubborn, you will get run over. It's not good. Okay. Here we go. XTZ. Let's take the weekly charts of this one. Sometimes, you know, markets just make big three-wave corrections. And I keep looking at this and thinking this is what it's done. It looks like it made ABC up. Then it made a three-wave correction down. And now we've done the same again. And the only way you can see that is if all these swings are equal. So, you know, that a bit messy, but not quite. But that's 61.8. But it's the reason that I feel like this about the choppy, about the overlapping corrective waves here, this not being a big impulse wave, is because of how far we pull back. You know, if this was a wave 1, 2, and 3, this wave 3 is a nice proportion to this wave for 1. But look how far we pull back, it's not right. So, you know. It's going to be very difficult. Now, if we think that this was, remember, a big ABC and then this was ABC, look how they were exactly equal, these two corrective waves. Here, this is... Anyway, you can see that this little one here is exactly equal to that, and that always says that these two have a relationship now and that they were equal. And it makes me think that maybe this one in the middle here has a relationship too. Also, I should say, yes, it was ABC. So here we went A, B, C, new upswing. So let's see now what the relationship between these legs are. 1, equal, and back above this, below the 61.8. So this whole rally in XTZ US dollar has been corrective swings, equal swings. So I think this is the first leg lower. We're going to see a dead cat bounce. It might get to 0.5454, and then we should see another swing lower for XTZ before this down move is down. Thinly spread. I'm sorry that that's not better or more bullish, or that it is in that AB just keeps repeating those patterns. But for, yeah, now seeing all that, this does make me think that this is quite bearish and another leg to come. Okay, I'm going to stop there. If you're in my group and I missed a coin, we will cover it in the morning. If you are on Twitter and you really can't wait, ask me for a chart and I'll post one. Okay, can't wait for tonight's full moon to be over, and we'll find out whether this is just messing with our heads in Bitcoin or whether we're really going to go